Welcome back to another episode of Art World Confessions. So today I got a little bit off script because I thought I would talk about an image I saw today on someone's Instagram feed. And it's basically one of the heirs to the luxury firm LVMH. And he was posing with one of the artists who's a musical artist as well as a visual artist. He's shown his work at galleries, a Parisian-based gallery, and he's been hired as the director, I guess, of Cool, as the design director, Pharrell. And just looking at this picture with this tall French man in a suit and this shorter black man. Welcome back to another episode of Art World Confessions. I just made this video with my proper camera and lighting, and then I went to look at it and the battery had died. I thought it had enough battery, but anyways, here we are again, and I probably won't be able to speak as eloquently as I did just now on this topic, but I'm making this in case the other one doesn't go all the way through. So recently I saw on an Instagram feed one of the sons of LVMH posting a picture of himself with the new art director or creator or whatever you want to call him, Pharrell Williams. And everyone knows Pharrell as an artist, not just as a musical artist and a genius, but also as a visual artist. He's shown at a Parisian gallery and he's made art for different exhibitions as well here and abroad. And it just somehow, that whole picture with the tall white guy in a suit standing next to the short black guy in casual but super stylish clothes, holding on to his Louis Vuitton box. I guess he's got this as some sort of gift or prize from the owners of LVMH. It just made me think about all the artists over the years who have been sort of brought into the system to support those who are already in power, and sometimes at the expense of themselves and other artists. If we think back to Basquiat, how he was first shunned by the art world, finally he was revered, and now he's made a lot of money for a lot of people. If we look at Basquiat when he first started, I know one art dealer who worked with him very closely. He said you could hardly sell his work sometimes because some of the major collectors of the time were not interested in having a black artist on their wall, and they said that quite clearly. So here we are today. We've come 360 degrees with all of these galleries and all of these art institutions and all of these people working with art, not just happy to embrace artists of color and artists from other backgrounds, but really profiting from it and pushing these artists into the market. And by all means, this is all very well and good, but what are the intentions behind it? What are the actual mechanisms behind financial gain in these machinations, let's call them, between artist and dealer? I mean, I think about how in the last few years these artists have come up not in a way that's unhealthy, but in a way that doesn't acknowledge all of the real issues that we have, not just in America, but all across the world in terms of how we relate to others and people of color. You know, just a few years back here in the whole Black Lives Matter movement, some artists made a point that these institutions that are having all these exhibitions had absolutely nothing to say about injustices done to people of color in America. They made no public statement. They just throw up a few exhibitions every now and again to show that they're engaging with the population, to show that they are woke, to show that they are somehow supportive of diversity and all these other catchwords. But really, at the end of the day, are they doing anything? I'm not so sure about that. Just a few years back, I had a discussion with one of the curators or directors of a new museum. I won't go much further and say which new museum, but needless to say, it was in the Southern Hemisphere, it was in a country that had a huge indigenous population, or at least what was left of it after other people came over and took over the country. But this Aboriginal population, I asked him, would you have any work by them in your gallery, in your new museum? And he kind of scoffed at me and looked like, no, of course not. Why would we? That was the understanding, at least. fast forward a few years later, and some major galleries had some exhibitions with Aboriginal art and selling for a lot of money. And what do you think this new museum then started to do? I guess begrudgingly, they put a few pieces of Aboriginal art into their collection. But this is what I mean, if it's good for their image, if it's good for their bottom line, if it's good for the idea that they're engaging with what's current and what's hip and what's selling, then by all means, they will engage with these artists. But where, at the end of the day, where is their heart? Where are their true intentions? Do they really have any interest in supporting these populations, these other people, these marginalized people? I'm not so sure about that. So let's see how it goes in the next few years. Just like when we had the whole Chinese art market, everyone was going crazy for Chinese art. Now, where is that? I don't see anyone going as crazy for it as they were a few years back. Let's see what happens with this, if it's something that's here to stay or if it's just another market darling, and who knows what will happen in the coming months, years. But we look forward to more good art one way or the other. Thank you for joining me here today for this little rant about the art world. Join me for another episode of Art World Confessions. Thank you so much. Bye.